Amber Hagerman, as her mother Donna Williams describes her, was your typical all-American girl. She was a Girl Scout, enjoyed outdoor activities such as bike riding and playing with her friends, and adored her then 5-year-old brother, Ricky. Amber and Ricky were described as inseparable, and had a unique relationship where they came off more as best friends than they did as the stereotypical role of the bossy older sister and the annoying little brother. In fact, in some ways, Ricky was said to view Amber as his second mom. As they did everything together, Amber was always there to guide and protect him. Ricky recalls the day she was abducted, saying, "I didn't quite understand what was going on," Ricky Hagerman said as tears welled in his eyes. "I just knew my sister was taken from us. She was my best friend, like a second mother." On January 13, Amber and Ricky took a bike ride together on a warm, sunny afternoon, something that they did often. Around 3 p.m., on their usual route, the children cycled around the parking lot of an abandoned grocery store where there was a bike ramp that the local neighborhood children enjoyed riding on. After Ricky had had his fun, however, he was ready to go home. Amber, on the other hand, wanted to go down the ramp once more, and she told Ricky that he could go on without her, and that she would meet him back at their grandmother's house, which had been where they were visiting that day. Ricky rode his bike back home, and Amber was now alone. Unfortunately, this is when the opportunity presented itself. The only witness to the crime that occurred just minutes later, 78-year-old retiree Jim Kevill, who witnessed the event from the backyard of his property, claimed that a Caucasian or Hispanic male aged 25 to 40, and under 6 feet tall, grabbed Amber off of her bike as she had been riding it, and loaded her into the vehicle that Kevill had been described as a late 1980s or early 1990s model full-size black or dark blue pickup. Kevill stated, "I saw Amber riding up and down. She was by herself. I saw this pickup. He pulled up, jumped out and grabbed her. When she screamed, I figured the police ought to know about it, so I called them." The police arrived on scene minutes after the phone call had been placed. When Ricky arrived home without his sister, and when she had yet to show up shortly after, their grandfather, Jimmy, became worried and went to the lot to check on Amber himself. On scene were police officers searching for evidence, and Amber's bike, lying on the ground. A large-scale search was conducted by volunteers and FBI personnel. Amber's parents held out hope that their daughter was still alive, and they publicly pleaded on the national news for her abductor to safely return her. Sadly, only 4 days later, a man walking his dog less than 5 miles away from the abduction site noticed that his dog was behaving strangely. He was barking loudly and pulling the leash towards a local creek bed behind an apartment complex. Investigating the scene, the man discovered the nude corpse of what appeared to be that of a child's. It was later confirmed that this was the body of Amber Hagerman by matching her thumbprint from her school safety card. The autopsy revealed that Amber had been held captive for 2 days where she had been continuously sexually assaulted before the time of her murder, and had had her throat slashed, which resulted in her death. It is believed that the water from the creek had washed away any evidence that could have been used to solve her case. Shortly after this gruesome discovery, Amber's mother, Donna, pushed for stricter laws governing predators and sex offenders. A woman named Diane Simone, a mother herself, phoned in a Dallas radio station and asked, "If you can interrupt programming and alert us of severe weather at any given time, why can't you immediately report when a child has been abducted?" This idea soon spiraled into something greater, and the nationwide Amber Alert system was created in Amber's honor in 1996. As of 2015, experts believe that the Amber Alert system has resulted in the safe discovery of more than 800 children. Donna said that the alert system named in memory of Amber is bittersweet. In an interview in 2016, 20 years after Amber's murder, the grieving mother said, "There's another part of me that wonders what would have happened if we would have had the alert when Amber went missing. Could it have helped bring her back to me?" Diane Simone, the woman who pitched the idea for a nationwide system to alert those of children who had suddenly been abducted, believes that if such a system had existed at the time of Amber's abduction, would have led to Amber's safe return, saying they were saying Amber was taken at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, thrown in a pickup truck and driven somewhere, and that nobody saw anything. "I'm sorry, that's not possible. The problem was not that people didn't see them, it's that they didn't know what they were seeing." Since 1996, Arlington law enforcement has investigated up to 7,000 tips regarding Amber's abduction, with 2 to 3 tips being called in every month to this day. None of them have opened any valuable leads. However, lead detective Ben Lopez still holds out hope that one day there will be an arrest made in Amber's case, hoping that that information they need to make progress has yet to come forward. There's a possibility that someone knows something and just hasn't come forward for some reason. I certainly hope that's the case. There was a self-service laundromat in the same parking lot where the abduction took place and is only 2 blocks away from where Amber's grandmother resides to this day. While there may have been witnesses, investigators believe that several of them may have been in this country illegally, and would rather not talk to legal officials. While there was a public announcement that any information wouldn't result in deportation and that there would be a reward of $75,000, not a single customer from the laundromat came forward. Of course, whether or not there was another witness other than Jim Cavill will remain entirely unknown unless in the event that, 22 years later, someone decides to come forward.
It took 8 minutes from the time Amber and Ricky rode away on their bikes to Amber's abduction. 8 minutes. They rode 2 blocks, rode around an empty parking lot. Ricky rode back to the house, then back to check on Amber, and she was gone. Sometimes, it takes me longer than that to just collect my things and get in my car. 8 minutes and the little girl is kidnapped off the street and gone forever. This case is so sad. I hope Amber's family finds the answers. Maybe someone will talk after all these years. I remember like 20 years ago I had my first phone. It was like a Motorola with one of those antennas that you pull out. I was out riding bikes with my friends, and one had a walkie-talkie with a radio, and we heard an alert with a car and license plate, and we came across the exact car in a parking lot. Even waited for them to repeat it, the license plate was identical. One of my first calls I ever made was 911 to report it. And I don't know if it was because we were squeaky-voiced teens and my friends were joking around in the background, but I got yelled at by the operator telling me that 911 was serious and not to mess around and call. I told my parents that night, and they called the police. The police came to my house to get a statement, made some calls, went to the parking lot, and obviously the car wasn't there anymore. So I got an earful from the police officer yelling at me how I shouldn't lie. Then from my parents. And that's the story of how an Amber Alert got me grounded and my phone taken away for the first time. It always interests me how this happened in the same year as the JonBenet case, and both haven't really been solved. 1996 has some well-known tragedies. On a somewhat related note, in the upcoming decade, we are going to see an influx of silver alerts, or alerts for older adults who may be disoriented or in need of medical attention. By 2030, 20% of the U.S.'s population will be 65 plus, with 20% of those being 85 plus, the largest numbers we've ever seen of older adults. Since these are more medically related and not criminal, i.e., the person in the silver alert isn't actively trying to hide themselves, I wonder if they will, or have been proved to be, more fruitful than Amber Alert. I was 15 at the time this case happened and still remember it to this day. It is so incredibly sad that the family has never had justice. Incredibly sad.
So, what's your theory on what happened? Post it in the comments below. Thank you for listening. You can find the original post in r/unresolved mysteries through the link in the description box below. I like being able to listen to posts when I'm busy doing something else and can't read them. So I made this video for anyone who wants to listen to their Reddit posts. If you enjoyed this video, please like it and don't forget to hit the subscribe button below to get more puzzling mysteries.